Greetings, Vayniacs. Welcome to Crushpad. I'm Stu, and thanks for joining us. We're here. You can see that it's kind of quiet right now. It's a little too quiet. We're actually hoping that the grapes are going to start coming, but you know, we're playing a waiting game. A cool trough has settled over a good chunk of California, and it's really slowed the ripening process down. Everyone in the industry is waiting for grapes right now. If you look around, next week here, we're going to have 300 separate bins like this fermenting away. Right behind me over here is the sorting table, and that's where it starts in the winery. We're going to have Vayniac stationed on either side, maybe 4 on either side, just making sure that the best fruit gets in there from each vineyard. We've got people in the vineyards right now. Michael is up in Napa, and he was checking out Carrefour today to look at like the ripeness level of grapes, and I'm going to turn it over to Michael right now so he can talk to you about that.
This is the Coombsville area, Carrefour Vineyard. It looks like a, you know, it's a great site, but it still has a few more weeks to go. This is some stuff that we probably want to get pretty ripe. Another thing you'll notice about these grapes is given the size of the canopy. If you look at the canopy, this is a very healthy, big canopy. And it's ripening this year, a relatively small amount of fruit. We're looking at probably 3.25 tons per acre. So using the latest in hybrid office vineyard technology, actually I couldn't find a pair of shears, but so I'm gonna use scissors just to pull some samples, bring them back to the lab. You know, we used to really emphasize numbers in the analysis of ripeness. I think we look at them now, but I think they're much less important to evaluate ripeness. We're really looking more at sensory characteristics, flavors, softening of tannins, ripeness of seeds, a lot of things that we've talked about before, less so than sugars. But you know, it's kind of nice to have another data point because there's no right decision when to pick. So you often find yourself second guessing yourself, especially when other people have picked and you know, you're the last one out there and you're like, why has everyone else picked? Why haven't we picked? And based on flavors and other sensory characteristics, you feel that it's not right to pick. Sometimes it's nice to go back to your sugars and say, well, it's only at 24 bricks or 25 bricks, so I feel somewhat vindicated. So when you're picking samples, first thing is you should have shears and not office scissors, but it's all we have today. You're really looking for, a lot of times when people pull berry samples or samples from a vineyard, they'll just pull berries. So they'll pull one berry, put it in a bag. They'll go to another cluster, pull a berry, and put it in a bag. And by doing that, the hope is to get a fair representation from a bunch of clusters. The problem is a lot of people just pull berries from the front, which are the ones that get the most sunlight. So what happens is it tends to overstate the ripeness in the vineyard. What we tend to like to do is to take cluster samples. So rather than just taking a berry, we're going to cut out a whole cluster. Maybe a stapler would have been better. But so that gives you a better representation of the variability within a cluster. The challenge then is to make sure that the clusters you have, since you're dealing with a smaller sample size, is representative of what's on the vine. So sometimes you'll just grab the ripest stuff. Sometimes you'll often say, I'm looking for the most perfect looking fruit, which is always a mistake. You really want to find something that's representative of what's in the vine. So if 10% of your clusters are shriveled, you want to grab 10% shriveled in your cluster sample. So as you can see already, I've been taking very nice looking clusters, yet there is probably 5% shrivel here. So I'm gonna make sure I grab something from the inside, maybe that's a little bit more shriveled. Now these all look really good. Again, not super critical at this point to have these samples. You can pretty much taste it. You know, it's probably right around 24.5 to it's called 24.2 to 24.8, something in there. And again, there's nothing magic about the number, but what's really clear is, you know, greenish seeds, chew on them, they're a little bitter. The skins are still a bit tannic. Flavor development, definitely coming along. I've always been impressed by the flavors with this vineyard, especially in the early stage, but it's still got a ways to go, probably 2 to 3 weeks.